almost everyone in the United States has ridden a motor vehicle at some point in their life. Whether they did it as an adult or if they did it as a child, whether they were a driver or they were a passenger. Each time you've had to make a decision whether or not you're going to wear your seatbelt or not wear your seatbelt. That decision can have drastic effects that can caused by injuries or by death from choosing to not wear a seatbelt. My name is Corey House. Today I'm going to be giving you guys some facts on seatbelt use and motor vehicle injuries, hopefully giving you enough motivation and persuading you to wear a seatbelt each and every time. First, we're going to start off by talking about motor vehicle injuries as a whole in the United States. According to the CDC, motor vehicle accidents are the leading cause of death in your first 3 decades of the American life. So within your first 30 years, the most likely reason for you to die would be from a motor vehicle incident. According to III.org, in the year 2020, 42,060 people died from motor vehicle accidents. That's only in the year 2020. In addition to those 42,060 people, 4,795,000 people were also injured from motor vehicle accidents. The cost of death, the cost of the injuries, and the cost of the property damage cost $474 billion to the United States as a whole in the year 2020. Now that I've talked about the prominence of motor vehicle accidents, let's talk about seatbelts. Let's talk about some of the reasons and some of the factors that come into play on why people choose not to wear their seatbelts. Who's most likely not to wear the seatbelts? Is it men? Is it women? Is it young adults? Or is it older adults? Well, according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, in the United States, only about 90.7% of people in the United States wore their seatbelts in 2019. But why not 100? What are some other factors that come into play that cause people to not wear their seatbelts? According to the CDC, age plays a major factor. Adults in between the ages of 18 and 24 are far less likely to wear their seatbelt than older adults ages 25 and above. Another major factor, according to the CDC, is gender. Gender plays a large role. Men are significantly less likely to wear their seatbelt than women. Another big factor is location of where you are and the distance that you will be driving. People in non-metropolitan areas are far less likely to wear a seatbelt than people in metropolitan areas. States that enforce seatbelt laws stricter also have a higher number of people who follow the laws and wear their seatbelts at all times. According to a study by Frank Yates, most adults and young adults believe that the short trips, a seatbelt is unnecessary. That's a major factor in people's decision making. If they're just doing a short trip through their neighborhood, they'll choose to not wear that seatbelt. Now that we've talked about some of the reasons why people don't, let's talk about some of the facts and some of the reasons why everybody should wear their seatbelt. Seatbelts can reduce the cause of injuries and death during a serious car accident by over half. Injuryfacts.org states that since 1975, 374,000 lives have been saved just from the use of seatbelts. Front seats people who wear their seatbelts in the front seat, that gives you a 50% more likely chance to not get a major injury and gives you a 45% chance to not die. Seatbelts also are majorly effective in preventing ejection. You're about 30 times more likely to be ejected from a motor vehicle during a serious accident if you are not wearing your seatbelt. More than 3 out of every 4 people who were ejected from a motor vehicle during an accident died from their injuries, according to the CDC. For me, one of my personal stories where seatbelt use was major was my younger brother was hit in an accident by a drunk driver. He was hit head on going about 45 miles an hour. Luckily, my younger brother was wearing a seatbelt. Due to that, he was not ejected from the vehicle. and he only sustained minor injuries. He broke his wrist and he had a minor back injury. Without the use of that seatbelt, things could have been much worse. He would have been 30 times more likely to be ejected, and that could have resulted in a death from a drunk driver hitting him, but was all prevented thanks to the use of his seatbelt. Now that we've talked about some of the reasons people choose not to use seatbelts, some of the reasons you should use seatbelts, and the prominence of motor vehicle accidents in the United States, I hope that was enough information and enough facts to convince you to wear your seatbelt each and every time, whether you're a passenger or a driver.